We're recording now. I typically start these sessions by asking, how many of my typing sessions have you seen before?
Um, I would say probably not in full none, but probably like most of like three or four. But I want to caveat that by saying it was in like 2019. I was really into watching your channel and personality stuff. I've kind of taken the last 2 or 3 years off. So I'm kind of coming back in fresh, and I thought it was like a unique time I could get tested. I know some aspects about your testing, but like I'm kind of almost like a blank slate in some ways.
I'm way better at it than I was 2 or 3 years ago. So,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
okay. Uh, then can I ask you what time of day it is where you are approximately?
Yeah, I'm 2 hours ahead, so it's 12:48. I'm on Central Time.
Okay, and can you tell me approximately when you got up this morning?
I got up. Today was a little bit later than usual. Our daughter slept in. I think it was like 7:50.
Okay, so between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m., can you give me a succession of events of no significance comprising your day, such as brushed my teeth, sat down at the table, poured myself some cereal, and yeah.
Yep. So the first thing I remember going to the bathroom, and then my wife takes care of our daughter, getting her up, brushing her teeth. I raced downstairs. Uh, I got this is pretty typical, so it's easy to remember, but I got my tea drink. I made her tea drink. And then today was a little bit different. I really wanted to watch this golf tournament that's going on. So I spent some time this morning as they were eating breakfast trying to get my computer to hook up to the TV. Um, and then from there, I watched some golf with my daughter, who's like just over 2 years. Tried to show her that. We were swinging her little golf club in the living room. My wife took her to the grocery store, so I had a little bit of time on my own watching it. It was fun.
Are you making a
Then
little
they came
Tiger
home.
Woods?
Yeah.
You are? You're gonna make her into a little Tiger Woods?
Well, yeah, and that's what we wanted to watch. He hadn't played since his car accident, so yeah.
Oh, so the golf tournament you were watching had actual Tiger Woods in it.
Yeah, his first time playing in over almost 2 years.
Oh, okay, that was just coincidence because I was saying it sounds like you've got plans for your little child. Your child's still so little, and you've already got her swinging a golf
Yeah.
club. It
I,
made me say like,
I'm
are you going the Tiger Woods route here with your child?
No, it's more like I will expose and gently push, and if there's a wanting to go that direction, that's fine. But it's not going to be like Tiger craziness.
Mm. Okay, cool. So are you yourself into playing golf?
I was in high school a bit after high school, uh, but I just don't. I don't budget the time to do it very often. I probably play just a couple times a year.
Okay. I remember there was a moment in my adulthood, in my 40s, when I realized what I had been saying for years, which is, oh my God, who could possibly watch golf on TV? It is so boring. That it had become a lie. That I had begun enjoying watching golf. And then I realized there's something very soothing about it because it's a succession of of like camera looking in on these very slow, boring moments. It actually ends up being incredibly entertaining to watch, especially if it's like the last day of the tournament and
Yeah,
this guy's at minus 18 and he's done though, and this guy's at like minus 16 because he's got like 5 holes to go. And then he goes,
yeah,
bogey's one, and you go, oh no! And then he gets like a bird, and then you go, oh yeah, okay, he's getting closer. Anyway, okay, so do you, can you talk to me about, are sports typical for the kind of media you consume when you're watching something just to entertain yourself that's not going to teach you anything?
Um, I used to be really into sports and for that function. Um, this is really rare. Like this is a once in a year tournament that I only put on. So I only watch like Super Bowl, major golf events. Sports is not really the biggest form of entertainment. Um, Actually, for me, entertainment is hopping on YouTube, watching channels like yourself, really diving into like finance, investing, macroeconomics, like things like that is where I can just kind of get really curious and listen to different ideas. I actually find that to be entertaining to me.
Let's say I came to you asking for your opinion about a prospective investment I was considering making. And I said,
Yep.
I'm considering buying PayPal stock. Good buy, bad buy.
I I immediately feel uncomfortable giving any sort of advice. Uh,
I
because
didn't ask for advice. I asked
uh,
for your opinion about my
oh,
prospective investment.
I don't, I will give some like beat around the bush. I don't really like to kind of impose my thoughts or will on someone, especially when it comes to investing. So I'll kind of probably downplay my knowledge on purpose and just try to weasel out of it.
I see. What if I came to you with like a really, really terrible idea and you liked me? So I was like, you know what? I think I want to buy blockbuster video stock. You know, right in the days
I
before it's gonna crash or whatever.
right. Well, yeah, I would say definitely one. It depends on the relationship with I have with the person. If I know, if I kind of sense through my interactions that they seem pretty humble, able to take feedback, and we've had like a good rapport back and forth, I generally can be really straightforward. If it's kind of not that connected with that person, or I sense that they take criticism maybe a little harsh, I'll kind of just, with the blockbuster example, in that case, I would probably just give like, I'd ask questions like, wait, have you thought about it like this? Like, I wouldn't just straight up be like, that's stupid.
Okay. You know, there was a moment in history where Netflix seemed doomed. Yeah, isn't that funny? Do you remember that? When it's like Netflix started out its business by mailing people DVDs,
Yep.
and then um, they had that was just an utterly dead business model. The business should go down the tubes with it, presumably, but they scrambled, and now they're the dominant streaming service. You know, isn't that interesting?
Yep. It is.
Okay, so uh, have you researched, like, say, NFTs?
Uh, no, I haven't. I have kind of gone into crypto, in particular like DeFi space, but not NFTs in particular. Nope. It seems like a black box, and I I like kind of want to, but it's also like I'm the type of person, if I want to really understand it, I can't really just surface level get the basics. Like I have to know something really intricate deeply to what if I'm going to pull the trigger and spend my time on it.
So when you research something, is fairly it's a fairly purposeful block of focused research on a single topic.
Yeah, so much so like with investing, like I'm the type of person who out of fear will never really like invest. Like I'll just hold cash until like don't trust financial advisors, don't trust because like the whole scheme is weird and set up and the incentives are wrong until I myself can dive in fully to feel like I know how the matrix of how it's working better. That's the only time I'm gonna like pull the trigger on investing, so to speak, in that example.
I see. Okay. So, you have just one child?
Just one child.
So then I can't ask really parenting things about yeah, parent because your child is so small. So I can only ask if I had asked parenting questions, it'd have to be about little kid stuff, you know. Okay. Let's see. Do you have a clear sense of where you want to be in 10 years?
No.
How about in 1 year?
No, I mean, I have like concepts I'm working towards, or but I don't have. It's not like laser clear. I always feel like I'm always trying to figure out like something I want to commit to with certainty. Like conviction, I guess, in many aspects broadly is tough for me to come by.
Okay. Can you break down the task um, of digging a hole and moving the dirt to another place to plant a new tree with into 5 steps?
Uh, can you repeat the
Your job is
thing
to
again?
dig a hole and move the
Okay.
dirt and basically move the dirt over there.
Okay. So step one, get a shovel and start digging. Two, grab your wheelbarrow and shovel it in and move it over 10 feet to the right. Um, what are we trying to do? Plant something else? I don't know.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful stuff right there. Okay, I was expecting exactly that. So when my NI is hit and miss, but it's nice when I go, I bet you yeah is gonna happen if I say yeah, and I'm right. Then it's nice. Okay, let's try some extroverted intuition testing.
Okay.
So, can you tell me synonyms for the word flirtatious?
Flirtatious. Uh,
It's
coming on. Uh,
it's a tough one. That's why I choose it. There aren't a lot of synonyms for it.
flirtatious. I don't know.
Okay, coquettish, coy.
What'd you say?
Coquettish, maybe coy. There aren't a lot of synonyms for it. But
The
there
first
are a
word you said
couple.
I didn't know. Koi. Koi. Yeah. Okay.
Now, can you show me with your acting face and no words? Coquettish, which means shyly flirtatious.
I feel, um, I feel like I could, but on camera,
Okay.
instantly,
Okay, all right.
instantly,
So
I
let me
think
ask you for
about.
an easier one. Show me you just got to the supermarket and you got your quart of milk, and you get up to the front and realize there's like 6 people in every line. Okay, good. Now show me that you're taking the trash out and you drop it and it spills all over the ground. That's all the reaction you have for it? You can make sounds, you just can't use words.
I'm, okay, I can't use words.
Nobody can make sounds.
I just imagine myself like walking out. It depends on where it lands. If it was outside, I would probably be less mad. If it was like in my house, I'd be like,
Yeah, I think the first thing I would do is go, oh.
mm.
That's what I would
No,
probably
I'd
do.
be. I'd be. No, my first reaction would be something along the lines of like, oh fuck, this is going to be a pain in the ass to clean. Like, where do I even start?
Yeah. I think that's kind of what's being conveyed with my response as well. It's just mine is more sadness at it, and yours is more anger at it.
I would be. Yeah, you're sad. I'm pissed because now I just have 10 more minutes. I have to do something.
Right. I'm sad because now I have to do something. Okay. So let me ask you some more NE stuff and see if we can nail that down a little bit better. Can you tell me five different reasons why the United States should invade and take over Mexico?
Um, because it has beautiful weather. Um, because the tacos are amazing and we need to steal the recipes. Um, because all countries south of America we're superior to.
Mm-hmm. True.
I'm just making up random shit. Like this is not practical.
No, that's the point. It's an extroverted intuition test. It's just coming up with like random ideas, not good ones.
Yeah. It's like it's just hard. Like it takes a lot for me to just come up with those three.
That's fine. Okay. Now, when you're consuming some media on YouTube,
Yep.
are you consuming it looking for new and useful pieces of information you might glean from it, or are you looking for a concise explication of things that are complicated? In other words, somebody making something clear and concise, or somebody giving you new ideas you never heard before.
It's a good question. I would definitely lean mostly towards clear. Like I have all these ideas with fuzzy, and if I find the YouTube video that talks about something I'm interested in, and it just lays it out, and something clicks in my mind, this idea I've been going through my head I can't quite understand, like I'll be extremely satisfied. But there are rare occasions where if I did learn something new and it like spawns off this new rabbit hole and leads me into something, that's a smaller percentage, but that happens sometimes too.
Okay. Uh, have you ever heard me tell the potato touch story?
That doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, it's a short. I'm gonna tell you a short anecdote, and then I'd like you to try to tell me an equivalent anecdote from your own life. Okay.
Okay.
The anecdote is this: I used to go to this restaurant where I sat at the counter so I could see when the chefs put the food down. The waiters would touch the potatoes on each end with their fingers to push it open and then scoop the butter in. I didn't like that. I thought if I ever order a meal which comes with a baked potato, I'm going to keep an eagle eye out to see how much they touch my potato. So sure enough, one day later on, I came back. I got a meal, and I'm sitting at the counter and I'm watching and keeping an eagle eye out. But I'm surprised all of a sudden when my plate arrives and it has rice pilaf, because of course I ordered rice pilaf, not baked potato. In that instance, it's an example of me being an SI person and going with what I remembered, my plan, even though what I had done, ordering rice pilaf, made my plan moot. So it's a failure to use my NI and instead replaced it with SI. Can you come up with a similar example?
I just want to clarify what happened. So you like to go to the restaurant. You don't like it when they split your potato. So you're watching out. You're even watching out in this particular time that you're there. But it turns out that the food comes, you had actually ordered something different. So
I'd ordered rice.
Why were you watching?
Why I was watching is because I ordered a meal. The meals come with baked potatoes. I had told myself if I ever order a meal, which I never did, I usually got breakfast there. But if I ever do order a meal, I'm going to keep an eye out for my baked potato because baked potatoes come with the meal. But then when I ordered the meal, the waiter asked me if I wanted baked potato and rice pilaf. I said rice pilaf. I didn't say baked potato. But I still had in my mind that meals come with potatoes, and I'm keeping an eye out for my potato because I ordered a meal.
You get almost like you're stuck on that. I'll give an example, but what you're describing, I can kind of feel what's happening, and I feel like that's something that happens to me a lot. Um, I call it kind of getting stuck on like one outcome or one way of thinking. So maybe this applies, but when my wife and I are parenting and our daughter's around, um, I have a hard time reacting to the situation at hand. So, daughter changes something up and she sees something new. Like I, I have these rules. Like, um, if she goes towards my wife's cooking. Like, I need to do something fun, and like, but I miss some like an emotion that my daughter has. I'm not like reading the situation. I'm just sort of like reacting that way no matter what. Is that a similar example or not quite?
Well, I think what you're talking about is going with the default approach towards an action you see without noticing that there's a different emotion behind it.
It's not even so much the emotion. It's like okay, so if I see daughter running to wife cooking, automatically I go like I have to turn on. My memory is wife needs space to cook. Daughter going towards her, do something fun. But like I could be missing some other context around the situation and not reacting to what's actually needing to be
Okay,
how I
so
could show up most effective in that situation.
what that sounds like to me is basically FE and NI, but not enough data, so wrong NI. So you're really comparing NI and NI, which is what I expected. Okay, so can you tell me about what value? Let me ask you some values questions. Which values? The first set of values questions I'm going to ask are which values you think is most important for you to uphold in the world, and then
Okay.
I'll ask about which values I think is most important for you that you think other people should uphold. Okay, but first
Okay.
you. So do you think it's more important that you uphold the value of reliability or the value of kindness?
Mm, I mean, I'm struggling this one because I no, I guess kindness. Like I think of myself as reliable. I want others to be really reliable. Um, but if I'm actually like objectively looking at how I show up, like I don't actually show up that reliably to others as much as I want them to be. So yeah, kindness.
So are you saying then that if you're unkind, it makes you more mad at yourself than if you're unreliable?
No, hang on. When you say it that way, like I'm super punctual with time. Like I'm very exact. Um, if I were to miss, if I like, for example,
If you
if
pulled an
I were to
Eric
be
yesterday morning,
if I pulled the Eric yesterday, I would be like distraught. I would have felt so bad because I just like I don't miss calls. Like I'm 2 minutes early. Like that's my mo.
yeah, that it actually is my MO too. That's why I was sitting out here waiting for the time to come. It's just I fell back asleep, and then it's like 7:09, oh fuck. Um, the uh, the thing is, I tell you what I felt about it was embarrassed until I told people about it on the channel. Until I talked about it on live stream and how it made me feel embarrassed, and then af-
I'd feel very embarrassed. Yeah.
after that I didn't feel embarrassed anymore. I just have to whatever things like that happen that I have a bad feeling about, like I fucked up. I have to go out like basically YouTube my confessional booth, and then the population of YouTube says, "Okay, you are forgiven." Say three Hail Marys, and I'm fine after
See,
that.
so I'm embarrassed, but in that situation, like I've maybe missed like one call in the last like 5 years. I like overslept and it was super embarrassing. And like I instantly reach out to that person, like explain. Like I basically I feel better when I know they're not super pissed at me.
Right, sure, yeah. I think if I had an instance instead of being unreliable like that where I was genuinely unkind, although it would probably be at least somewhat accidental, I'd probably feel worse about it for longer.
If you were unkind about the
Like,
reaction to it.
no. If instead of what happened yesterday morning, there were an equivalent instance of me being unkind, I'd probably feel bad about it longer. But regardless, so which value do you think is most important for you to uphold between these two? Self-sufficiency and uh, universality.
Can you explain universality?
Yeah, so is it important that what you do, say, understand, etc., be broadly applicable, or is it sufficient that it only work for you?
I mean, I like when my methods apply and people are able to do it, but self sufficiency, I would say, is more important.
Okay. What about, is it more important for you to be fair or affirming?
Affirming meaning, like, can you give me an example?
So, yeah, like if your wife puts dinner in front of you and says, "What do you think?" Do you want to be fair and say, "Well, it's, I'm going to be honest, not really one of your better meals. If you want me to fairly evaluate it against the other ones you've cooked, or is it better to be
Affirming for sure.
affirming?"
But 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 I actively want and attempt to be more direct. Like, it's something I want to work on. I don't like that aspect of the way I do things.
Now let's turn that question around. Is it more important for the world to be fair with you or affirming?
Oh, definitely fair. Like, if someone bullshits and says something affirming, I hate it. Like, I want someone to tell the truth no matter what.
Okay. So if you're if you were single and looking for a prospective partner, which would be more of a deal killer? That they were unreliable, or occasionally unreliable, or occasionally dishonest, or loose with the truth.
Uh, Keep both of them. Dishonest or unreliable. Yeah, if you're being dishonest is kind of a deal breaker.
Okay. Do you think you're easy to lie to or hard to lie to?
Um, I think I'm pretty easy. I think I'm pretty naive and kind of follow along. If someone had bad intentions, I think they could mislead me. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Uh, that's it's one of those interesting questions and interesting realities, because of course people lie to each other in different ways, and some kinds of lies are, you might pick up on really well, and some kinds you might not pick up on at all. And I think that's true for everybody, really. But people don't typically think of distinguishing between kinds of lies. In fact, I don't. I just thought of it right now, is why I'm musing it out loud. Anyway, let me try some TI questions. If some birds eat cheese and all cheese eaters like watching golf, then is it necessarily the case that some birds like watching golf?
I really struggle to follow that.
I will repeat the question slowly, okay? If some
Okay.
birds eat cheese
Hmm.
and all cheese eaters watch golf, is it necessarily the case that some birds watch golf?
So we know that
Some
some birds eat
birds.
cheese, but all cheese eaters.
Watch golf.
golf. So if you're a bird, you're eating cheese, therefore you do watch golf.
Some birds do watch golf, yes. Okay, how about this? If no giraffes eat bacon and I don't eat bacon, am I a giraffe?
If no giraffes eat bacon, and you said if
I don't eat bacon, does that make me a giraffe?
no giraffes eat bacon, no.
Okay. Can you tell me what today is? What day is it? Is it Thursday? Friday?
Thursday. Yep.
Thursday. Okay, today's Thursday. So can you tell me what tomorrow's yesterday is in relation to today?
Tomorrow's yesterday. It's tomorrow, Friday.
Okay, cool. And one last kind of these TI questions. Can you tell me who my mother's sister's son's sister is in relation to me? Mother's sister's son's sister.
Is it cousin?
Yes. Okay, cool. All right, now let's move on to different kinds of questions. So, I would like to tell you a short anecdote. This game's called, well, that's why they always say, miggity, miggity, meow. An example of it is, boy, I bought this book the other day because it's got this amazing picture here. But when I looked at the words inside, they're bad words. I don't like them. And you say, well, that's why they always say, don't judge a book by its cover. Okay. So it's like that. Except the thing that you say for the miggity, miggity, meow doesn't have to be an official saying like that. It could be one you just make up. Either way. Okay? So here's the story.
Okay.
I went to brunch with Judy the other day, and after we were done, she said, come on, gang, let's go hiking. And I said, but I'm in my flip-flops. Can you just wait until I go home and get my shoes? She said, no, we're going to go right now. So I just went hiking, and then now I have all these blisters on my feet.
You should always go home and take a little extra time. Get your shoes.
Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to demonstrate something with the book example, and then I want you to do the same thing with the brunch hiking example, okay? So at the most maximal level with the book example, one might say, don't evaluate, always evaluate the object of analysis in terms only inclusive of salient elements. So in other words, don't evaluate things by including in your evaluation very insignificant factors that aren't going to be determinant in the question of whether something's good. That's the broadest explication of that, right? And the most particular explication is, Eric, you know already whenever you buy shiny things, you made a mistake because you're attracted to shiny pictures. So you should have learned from your previous bad book purchases and not bought a book with a good picture on the front. You should try to buy a book with a bad picture on the front. Like that's the most particularist range. So can you do that with the brunch question, the top level and the bottom level, like that?
All right. So starting with like the highest level, most broad concept.
Right. The one that requires least explication, least connection to the specifics of this story, and most connection to just the mechanics of the moral of the story.
So would it be something like, what was your friend, Judith or whatever? Judy,
yeah.
Judy likes hiking, so anytime I'm meeting up with Judy, I should probably wear shoes, like something like that.
So that would be the most particularist level. Yeah, that's correct for the most particularist level. What's the most universalist level now?
Wear shoes to the restaurant?
No, I was saying the most universal.
Like when you go to
the most universalist level for that hiking story would be something like prioritize prioritize your own interests, or you know, um, don't affirm changes to the status quo that might incur harms exceeding the benefits.
That's almost like I'm not following.
Okay, well, because it's in this instance, right? The guy's like, he does want to go hiking, but they're not going to wait for him, so he has to make a decision,
Oh,
and
okay.
and he chooses a course of action in which he gets what he wants now, but incurs harms long term that probably outweigh the benefits of him getting to go on the hike. So in that regard, it's the most generalized way of looking at it. Okay, that's fine. So now where am I going to angle? Oh, let me angle it at the F's a bit here. So here's the situation. You are performing as the employee of a supervillain. And this supervillain is going to nuclear weapon blow up an island off of the shore because he wants the world to understand that above ground nuclear testing is good. All right, so this is his plan, and you're helping him. Now you have a choice. Are you helping him because he's paying you a shit ton of money, or are you helping him because he's got your family held hostage?
Um, like I don't under, I struggle to pick an answer because it's like, what's my criteria? Am I just picking which story resonates with me more? I don't get what I don't get it.
The point of the question is that in some people it's going to elicit that kind of thing. Like for example, earlier you demonstrated the same capacity, which is when I was told the potato touch story, I rushed through it to try to give you an abbreviated version of it. But as a consequence, I'll wait for you to unfreeze. You
I
there?
guess we lost connection for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, cool. So the thing is,
Potato question. You said something.
right. So in that one, you need clarification. Wait, so what? Why did? What's the deal here? Why were you still thinking that you were ordered a potato if you ordered rice pilaf? You need clarification because I had left out some part of the story that was salient to the issue, which was that it was ordering a meal that made you get a baked potato, and that's what I was always thinking beforehand, and that I never ordered a meal, and so I didn't realize that the meal gave you the option of baked potato or rice pilaf, and so you needed that information to understand what I was trying to get at with my story, so that you could
I always
understand
feel
what
like I need that information.
right, and what you just did right there as well. What you need to know what I'm trying to get at, and then once it's clear what I'm trying to
Yes,
get at,
always.
you'll be able to. And that's not necessarily the case for people who get asked that question at all. It's like some people have a response to questions where they can't answer it no matter what. Like they keep humming and hawing. Some people need clarification, then they can answer it. Some people, All right, so to give you clarification, the purpose of this story is to actually find out whether instinctually, before you think about it more and get more information, whether you are concerned about being able to justify your behavior afterwards, or if you, even in a hypothetical, feel so strongly for your family that you would rather take on the burden of being wicked yourself and avoid them having the discomfort of being held hostage. Now, I think in reality, if you were faced with that choice, everybody would choose to not have their family held hostage.
Yeah. So if it was just a choice, And like if I choose to make a shit ton of money and that other option like obviously just like goes away and that was just like a pretend scenario and they're not in harm, like I'm gonna choose the shitload of money one.
Yeah. So what the thing points out is that people in these hypotheticals will normally think it works like a hypothetical, and so obviously they will choose. But like this, the ENTP girl I typed last night, she said, I definitely have my family held hostage because she was thinking about how she would be able to justify or not justify it after the fact, which is FI polar FE. But your answer is more consistent with a knower first because it means you're not ready to answer the question until you know enough to answer the question. So, okay, that's revelatory regardless. How much do you concern yourself with being able to justify your actions, be they verbal or physical, versus how much do you concern yourself with not having to justify, not doing or saying things that you're going to have to worry about justifying later?
If I'm understanding the question correctly, I think that I always feel like I need to justify what I'm doing, and like I'm choosing this path. I feel anxiety, like even if the person doesn't ask or doesn't care, like I have to explain and I need them to show me a reaction, like you understood, you got why this makes sense, this is why it's good for me. Like I like getting,
All right.
I like it being justified.
Okay, so I'm gonna do something that almost. I don't know if I've ever done this before, but I'm gonna tell you right now what type I think you are, even though it's only 30 minutes in, and then I want your more active involvement in the discussion for the last half an hour of
Okay,
this thing. Okay,
sure.
it seems very clear to me that you're an INFJ.
INFJ.
Yeah. I mean, it's that's why it's 11:30, but I want to shift gears here because I don't have any more doubt in my head at all. But I'm not sure if you do or not, or what you thought you were coming in, and I'm not sure how to best use this 30 minutes of yours, like to maximally benefit you, because I don't need to ask any more questions to come with up to my conclusion. You're pretty cut and dry, as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Well, I've got a sneaky fact to throw in here that I didn't think you would remember.
Okay.
That we didn't record it, but you actually typed me 3 years ago.
Oh, I did. What did I type you as?
ISFJ.
Well, your SI is not good enough.
Huh?
Your SI is not good enough.
It's not.
I don't think so. But that's good. I'm glad to know this because now I can know where to angle some more questions. So can you? Well, I already know it's not good. Oh my god! It's so obvious it's not good enough. Here, do this. I'm going to ask you to repeat the exact wording.
I want to throw in. I want to throw in one extra thing that I'm not sure is relevant, but it's something I struggled on the last test as well. So I noticed that I struggle following like verbal commands and words. Like I get lost in comprehension. And then I stumbled across this disorder called auditory processing disorder. And I ended up, is it bullshit? Because I ended up getting tested and they said that I had it.
It's bullshit. It's another way of pathologizing a function stack. Okay. Now
Okay.
you have, yes, you have auditory processing disorder, not as bad as ENFJs have auditory processing disorder, but still worse than a lot of other people might, because you have SI eighth. That means when I tell you, please repeat back to me word for word the exact wording of this sentence, I need to go across the street to visit the neighbors to acquire parcels and gifts. Repeat it back to me exactly word for word.
I need to cross the street in order to acquire parcels and gifts.
That's not word for word, right? So what you've done is NI'd it, okay? The thing is, it would be conceivable that you would be with SI yeah, it would be conceivable that you could test as SI polar even, except the problem is you pass the SI polar test, which is you're able to articulate a sequence of a series of sequential details that aren't very significant, comprising some portion of your day, and polar really can't even do that. If you think you're bad at not remembering shit, watch any of the ENFJ typing sessions, and they're even worse at it. Okay, neither of you people have audio processing disorder any more than FE polar people actually have autism spectrum disorder, any more than any dumps like me actually have ADHD. It's just who we are. And pathologizing it happens when people who don't understand cognitive functions project their frame bias onto the world and say, "You're so not like me, there must be something wrong with you." So yeah, but that test right there would just prove to both of us that you're not an ISFJ and that I didn't know what I was doing 3 years ago. Because there's no way in hell I would consider you SI now. But that's the biggest gain in how I type people, or in learning how to type people, has been the vast amount of progress in distinguishing between SI and NI. They're a rich vein in which to distinguish between types because of quality.
Can you just go through the 1 through 8, what an INFJ is?
Yeah. So as an INFJ, you're a knower first, which is NI. And you can see that knowledge function first.
Would it be fair to say that when I know something and I feel so strongly about it, but where I feel like I absolutely fall flat is I just cannot get the words out and explain it to someone to the degree in which it feels so...
If you could, you wouldn't know it that well, because that's what it means to be a dominant and an ignoring. Okay, so I've had experiences sometimes, like on DMT, where or when I'm really tapped out on whippets, when I have this experience myself of this holistic, irreducible truth that is absolutely objectively true, but nonetheless can't ultimately be explicated and justified because it's relying on synergistic elements. So,
yes,
as a consequence, as an INFJ, when you know those kind of things, those universal truths, and you want to express them, there are elements in them that can't ultimately be expressed. In other words, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
And that's what it feels like to me. It's like I can't put it into words what I know.
And because you're FE second, you're always playing an active defense in terms of perception management.
Yes.
Which means your number one goal is to not reveal a lot about yourself, have other people 100%. reveal everything about themselves, and then make a fully informed decision about them, and then maybe really reveal a little bit of yourself.
Is there a way for INFJs to work on counteracting that? Like, I don't like that I'm always...
You shouldn't counteract that. You shouldn't counteract that, but with the right map, you automatically will manifest it better. So, which is to say, like Rachel, I sometimes will tell her, like, she's not only has that, but she also is a 9 and comes from a bit of a controlling background, and so she's taking precautions constantly, and I'm telling her that's really not necessary in this relationship. But the thing is, it works in all of your non-intimate relationships and is appropriate. In other words, it's how you roll. You successfully get.
So, but what if in intimate relationships or close relationships, like, I still am doing this defensive thing?
It's because you have no soul.
What does that mean?
I like to call INFJs the soulless ones, because because the thing is,
Like, don't stand for anything.
no. Here's the thing: your absolute values are first and foremost universal truth, then universalizable truth, which is fairness. So NITI. Your other absolute value is originality or novelty slash innovativeness. Okay, which is any, but it's ignoring. So it's really a value you expect the external world to uphold, and you assume you're always going to be
Yeah.
on the curve surfing enough that you don't really have to worry about that. And then lastly, your other absolute value is extroverted thinking, rendering things useful. So what's absent here in any absolute values are your own personal experience, your own feelings, other people's feelings, and actually having physical sensory experiences. Those are only instrumental to you. Those are all the parts of the self that people think of as being soulful. Your feelings, your own particular experience, and other people's feelings, and going out and really getting into the world and doing shit. That's what people think of as being soulful stuff, right? Instead, you're dry. All the things you have as absolute values are dry. Truth, justice, in the American way, maybe, but those are abstractions, So you're not really soulless. You're just dry and abstract. And I am too. And I also call ENTPs we're the soulless couple. Me and Rachel, because we are so busy not offending each other all the time. It's like a constant playing out of that book, The Gift by O. Henry. A short story. You ever heard of that short story? It's a very famous story. But they used to teach it all the time in school. Where there's this couple. It's Christmas time, and the husband has this watch he likes a lot, but he sells it to get combs for his wife's beautiful hair. And the wife has her beautiful hair, but she sells it to buy a watch fob for her husband. And then when they open their presents, he has a watch fob he can't use, and she has combs she can't use.
So is INFJ, does it have TE polar?
Yeah. When I asked you the 5 steps question, and your inability to ordinate digging wheelbarrows and moving was astonishingly ridiculous to look at.
I felt like just the fact that I had the shovel in the wheelbarrow was like a huge win on my end.
Right, but the thing it shows you is TE polar is like you didn't go in order, right? So it's like you're digging, and then of course as you're digging you have to put the dirt somewhere. The wheelbarrow should already be there.
I kind of suspected I was, well, because TE polar is the same as ISFJ, right? No?
Yeah, that's the same.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, for me, when it, like, I can see what the outcome is, like, I can always see it, but like getting there is like a black box.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it reveals to me, like, that's where I've grown typologically. Is back then, I was doing some of the epistemology typing on affect still. Like, well, you seem like an ISFJ or something, rather than having linked well with skills like this, And this is a much more effective way to type people, as you can see, that it's, anybody who has been watching my typing sessions recently, they could tell, and have seen me ask these kind of questions over and over again, they could tell early on, you're not SI. It was obvious.
Fair enough. And also, if that typing session, I came in having watched a shitload of your content. I knew your questions. I thought I was an INTP. I was so devastated when I heard the ISFJ. But anyways, I just wanted to throw in that context too.
Yeah, and I just want to say again that whatever I typed you several years ago, I have absolutely no uncertainty about you, and that's not always the case. Sometimes at the end of typing sessions, I'm like, you are a tricky one or something. but then sometimes it's like this, where it's like when the typology IRS audits you, I will be there at your meeting saying you are definitely an INFJ for all of these indisputable reasons.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I shall stop the recording now. Or you want me to share it with you privately first, or are you cool with me publishing it?
You can put it out there.
All right, cool. Thank you.